Now I know this story is embarrassing, and I know it can be for some people they're gonna judge me for this. So that's fine. That's totally fine. But if you do, make sure that the judgments are really really good. When I was back in Sri Lanka, I passed my drive test the very first time when I was 18 years old. And whoa, look at that. That's a weird streak. The thing with the Sri Lankan driver's license is that it's very easy. All you gotta do is do a reverse with the vehicle and then drive for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and they stop you, and that's it. You pass the test. When I came to Australia, things changed a little bit when it came to the drive test, and that's what I'm going to talk about. As kids, we dream of having our own luxury cars, having our own sports cars, especially as guys, driving it around and showing it off to the world. When we get to be 10 to 12 years old, we are told that we can't just get the car of our dreams and drive it on the road. We need to have the license to drive. Let me tell you a little bit about the Victorian drive test, or the Australian driving test method that is used probably statewide. But I'm talking mostly about the Vic Roads and the Victorian drive test. There's 3 parts to it. The first one is the knowledge test, and the second one is the hazard perception test, and the third is your final drive test, or the practical drive test that you do. There's also something that you should know. After passing the hazard test, just bear with me. These are all going to make the story much more clear. A person needs to log in 120 hours if you're under 21 years old. In 120 hours of drive practice in various conditions, such as rain and dim light and all of that conditions, to make sure that you have enough practice to get to the drive test. So you need to log all of that if you're under 21 years old. But also there's this thing of 3 levels of licenses that you get. So the first level, after you pass the drive test, and if you're under 21 years, I think it applies for everyone who don't have an other license. You start with the red piece, I think that's one. And then there's the green piece where you have a little bit more freedom. And then there's the full license where you have the full automobile freedom, where you can drive with anyone, on anyone, I don't know. So it takes 3 years to get to the full license after you pass your drive test here in Australia. For a person who's a citizen in Australia, or a person who has never been driving anywhere else or have a driver's license anywhere. That's the thing. I have a driver's license somewhere else. In Sri Lanka, I had my driver's license, so I was able to apply for the full license straight away. I didn't have to go through, what the hell? I didn't have to apply for the 120 hours. I didn't need to log those in because I was over 21 years. I was able to straight away go for the full license because I already had license from Sri Lanka, and all of those was good. So I came inside just because it was a little claustrophobic in the vehicle. I'd rather do it here. I think it's much more warmer. So the Victorian drive test, this is how they do it. So there are 2 stages for the Victorian drive test when you do it. The first stage, they take you around the suburb area and they ask you to do the parallel park and the 3-point turn. It'll be for like 10 minutes or so. That's the end of first stage. If you pass all of that, you pass the first stage. Stage number 2 is all about going in the highway or going in a road where it's 80 kilometers an hour, and seeing how you manage your speed again, and how you move lanes, and how you doing your head checks, watching your mirrors and all of those kind of stuff, where they take you around and they take you to the suburbs a little bit again and see how you manage with other vehicles around you and see how good you are with the control of the vehicle. That's about it. That sounds very simple. This is the document that I made for Vic Roads when I started over there, when I went to do the knowledge test way back. And It has all the documents. It got way bigger than I expected it to be, because I failed it 4 times, as I have said. Um, but this also shows what they look at when they take you on the drive test and points that they check. So I'll talk to you about that. Actually not. Alright, so as you can see, they look at control, starting the car, using the handbrake, using gears and clutch, steering, braking, acceleration, observation, using your mirrors, watching your road users, doing head checks, signaling, when turning, when diverging, positioning the car, when stopping, keeping a safe following distance, blah blah blah, gap selection. Well, you get the gist, right? So now that you know what they look at when they try to do the drive test, and what are the pointers, and what is marking criteria and all of that, here is why I failed the drive test. My first attempt, this is what happened. I took my brother's car. It's a bit of an old car. Then I went on the first stage. 5 minutes into the drive test, she stopped me and said that the speedometer is not working. It's not going up properly at the right speed levels. So it won't work out, and I can't let you go to stage 2 because of that. So I have done my parallel park very well. I did a 3-point turn as well. I did all of those well, but she said that she cannot let me go on the second stage. I understood that there's a problem with the car. I stopped. First attempt failed. I had to pay $60 again and do the second time. So my second attempt came 1.5 months later after my first attempt. I was super pumped. I knew I was going to nail it this time. I was ready to do it. And I wanted to get it before my mom came to Australia for a trip, so that I could drive her around and all of that, to show her that I got a license in Australia and all of that. So I was excited and I was ready for it. I went, I did it. Something happened with driving. I think when I was driving around a suburb, a lady cut across me. She was quite old. I'm not blaming her, but she actually put it across to the lane. I had to stop abruptly, and because I stopped abruptly, there's apparently a rule with big roads or something that says you can't do abrupt stops. They stop you for that. And then she said I didn't do enough head checks with my mirror, and that I had to look at the mirror every 3 seconds, which is crazy. So, and I had to really show that I'm dramatically looking at the mirrors neck on both sides and all of that, so that she can take a look that she didn't see me at all looking at the mirrors, which is crazy. How can I drive otherwise around traffic time and school time? So yeah, I failed because of that, and I was frustrated this time. I was really upset because I thought I drove well. Because they tell you the results at the very end. When you go back to the center, they tell you that you passed or failed. And I thought I really did well, because again, I did the parallel park well, I did the 3-point turn well, I did the second stage well this time, and I was so happy. I thought I passed. And when I went, and when she said that unfortunately you've been unsuccessful, I felt very disappointed. That was just my second attempt. And this time I got really, really depressed. My third attempt came 3 weeks later after I did the second attempt. I immediately after the second attempt went and paid $60 again. Actually, that jumped to $62 after the second attempt. So I went and paid that. Still a huge amount of money for a person who's coming from another country. Maybe I wanted to get it done somehow. I didn't want to quit on it, so I went and paid straight away. 3 weeks later, I was doing it again. And this time, I really was so sure that I was getting it. I did everything right. This time, I actually felt like I passed. Second stage, when I was coming almost near back to the center, it went again so horribly long. She stopped me saying that I didn't do my head checks right again, and I need to properly look in the mirrors and all of that. So I thought it was again my mistake, maybe that I'm not doing it more, vigorously and more dramatically. I'm not doing, looking like this and looking like this, and because that's what they want. So take notes, people. If you're ever doing the Vic Rose drive test, really be dramatic about your head checks and all, because they really look at that. You can't just do this, this, and just drive like normal people do, but you can't do that because it's the drive test. So yeah, failed again. This is not because of bad driving, not because I'm, being reckless and trying to knock other people over. It's not that. And I'm not going over lanes or anything. It's just not that. It's just they're trying to tell me that I'm not sticking to all their rules, and just because of that, I've already paid more than I should have paid. And if you're not really wealthy, it's very hard to process that, and it's very frustrating. I immediately went and paid again to do it again, and I failed again. The fourth time when I failed, I was depressed. I really didn't know. I was going through a very rough time in other areas as well, so I felt like a real kick in the balls when that happened, because I thought I would never get the driver's license. I thought this is just happening every single time. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I need to stop driving. Maybe I need to just give up. And that's what I thought immediately. And that thought just came coming over and over and over. And I didn't go to pay. I just walked over after the fourth attempt, because I really didn't want to do it again. So I was given the advice to wait for a while, and try and get back to being a little bit more confident. See, when you build up your confidence, just go and do your drive test again, because I was in a bad place. I was really frustrated, really depressed because of what happened. I kept on failing and I didn't like it. So I thought, okay, maybe then I'll forget about the drive test. So for 2.5 months, I didn't even think about the drive test after that. Actually, it was more than 3 months. 3 months, I forgot about the drive test. By the time this happened, my hazard test expiry date has come forward, because I did hazard test way back. So it has expired, and I had to do the hazard test again as well because of that. And that frustrated me even more, because when I went to do for the 5th time my drive test, they told me that my hazards have expired, that I have to do my hazard test again in order to do the drive test. I was so infuriated, because then I have to pay for the hazard test again and then pay for the drive test. This was such a lot of money that I'm wasting for the same single thing that I've just missed out because of a minor lapse. It was not a critical error. It was nothing like that. If you look at the critical errors, it says there are few critical errors that there are specifically said that is like labeled as those, but I didn't do any of those. It's just for the minor errors, it cost me over $300 or $350, $400, when it really should have been $100 max, $120 max for the whole thing. So that's very frustrating when it comes. It cost me more than $300, $400 just for that. So that's frustrating itself. But I passed the hazard immediately. Then I went back and did the drive test for the 5th time, and finally I got it. And I have to say, I did it with a bit of help this time. Actually went to a driving instructor and I asked him to help me out because of what's going on. I actually didn't know, so I had to pay for that guy as well in the end for one class, just to get to know what the is going on because I was so frustrated, and that cost me a lot. And what I'm saying, that like, it felt so unnecessary. Finally have this. This is the Victorian driver's license. It's a huge deal because this is my ID. I finally got this, And that's the most important thing, right? It took a lot of courage just to get over. After the third time, I had almost given up. And if I did give up, that would have been a bad thing. So in the end, my lesson here is very simple. It's just that if you really want something, and because something like this is so important for most people, I'm not going to say everyone. Some people really don't need to drive, but most of you really have to, have driving in your life. You need to learn driving in your life, and anything. See, if you want it, even if you fail, I think it's best to never give up and keep on doing it until you finally achieve it. And that's the best lesson I've learned. That's the most general lesson I've learned. But also to understand that everything happens for a reason, and never give up on what you want to achieve in your life, because that's important. Even if it's something so small, like passing a drive test, just do it. Don't give up on it. Don't quit, and never go back to it. You might regret it, and regret is the biggest thing that can haunt you when you're older, and that's not a good thing. Regret is the biggest fear someone could have, in my opinion. You might fail your drive test once, twice, 4 times like me, or even 15 times. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people think. Just keep doing it. I know it's going to spend a lot of money probably. Feel depressed, you feel sad, you feel upset, but you'll get through it because you have that strength and determination. And I want you to get out of this whole experience I've had is that watch videos like this. Yes, the videos like this probably the people have gone through the same experience. You're not alone. If you have failed a couple of times, or 3 times, or 4 times, or even more, understand that you'll get through it. Make sure that you keep on applying, keep on doing what you do, whatever it is, and somehow try to achieve it. You'll get there.